Dr. Tom Roselle live right now, 6:30 WMAL.
Laura, you're waiting very patiently. How can I help you?
Thank you very much, Dr. Roselle. I'm a fan of your show.
Thank you.
And I'm an advocate of alternative medicine. I don't believe in other stuff that doctors, that's why I like to talk to you and to get your honest, advice.
Good for you.
I
You'll live
have a
longer.
granddaughter who has been on on an inhaler since she was 3 years old. She had asthma, but now she's off that thing. And she had a cough last winter, this winter, and her mom, she had a fever. Her mom was so, worried. She rushed her to the emergency room, and they did, the fever was not going down. They did an X-ray on her. So what they found, a prominent left mediastinal border region, pulmonary artery, low lung volumes on lateral radiograph, and they saw also prominence on bronchovesicular structures on the lateral chest. They said there's no evidence of confluent air space opacity. Frontal radiograph demonstrates mild bronchial wall thickening, and this is what is worrying me.
That just means you're looking at a chronic problem. It's been going on for a long time, and with the application of steroids and other medications, it's going to irritate the lung tissue itself. So what happens is, as time goes on, and the repetitiveness of the reinfection or the functional problems with the lung tissue is going to begin to deteriorate and break down. Now, having said that, what we're dealing with is an underlying problem that's allowing her immune system to begin to deteriorate. One of the things that we see in children, three things that cause all kinds of respiratory problems and allergy reactions are simply this: dairy products, sugar, and wheat grain. And if a child's diet has those things very heavily in it, which is the good American diet, then they're going to have problems with their areas that are most predisposed to that. So you have to look back. You have to look back if there's any fungal or mold sensitivities, allergy reactions. You have to look and see if these things are there. You have to desensitize. But here's the deal. So many children are born with what we call subluxation in the upper portion of the neck, cervical 1 and 2, and occiput. These are the areas that have nerves that go directly to the lungs, so the lung capacity can't maximize itself. And then it begins to affect the upper portion of the back as well. So you have two inputs. You have the splanchnic nerves, or the parasympathetic nerves that go to the organ itself, and then you have this long nerve called the vagus nerve, which comes off the brain, which can be influenced by that upper portion of the neck. If those nerves are being irritated because the vertebrae of the spine are misaligned, now you can do a lot of different things, but it's like turning electricity off. Nothing's working the way it's supposed to, so the system can never heal properly. So in her situation, you would look at those pieces. You would look at the chemistry, you would look at the allergen reactions, you would look at the neurological system. One of my doctors in our office specializes in pediatrics. That's all she does. And I would get a hold of Dr. Jennifer Sims online or give her a phone call. She'll be more than happy to discuss it further and give you specifics. But that's where I would start. And if it was my child, that's what we would be doing.
Yeah.
I hope that's helpful, Laura.
Thank you. What's her number?
Just call the office, 703-698-7117, and ask for Dr. Jennifer Sims and leave a message. She will call you back.
Okay. They wanted to do a dye on her. My mom said no. Put a dye and do a CAT scan.
No, I wouldn't do it either.
I wouldn't. Yeah. And then they said no because she said, I'm concerned about the dye. She's only 7 years old. And then they did not do it.
No, if it was my child, I definitely wouldn't do it.
I told her that, and they said we'll give her 2 months and we'll see how if this is going to back to normal.
No,
one thing is taller than the other, longer than the other.
That's just genetic. I mean, you can survive very nicely with one lung, but you have to understand the underlying problems. Laura, I appreciate your call. Give Dr. Sims a call, or have your daughter call her, and she'll be more than happy to talk you through this situation. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I am in studio. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. Love to talk to you on any subject you have in mind. We've got a couple. We're talking about several, and I want to put you in a position where you can take control of your health. We're talking about exercise a little bit, and we're talking about eating the right way. I want to tell you something. There's a lot of changes that are coming down, and some of them are good and some of them are very confusing. There's something called the Andy 1000 score system and the Nuval 100. And what these things are food rating systems that are striving supposedly to make healthy eating choices easier for you, but they can be misleading. And all I want you to know about them is this. The two new areas of evaluating food, the numerical food rating systems, the Nuval nutritional scoring system and the aggregate nutritional or aggregate nutrient density index, ANDI, they're really attempting to simplify matters, but I'm not so sure. These they were put out there by Kroger Foods and the Whole Food markets. Some of you have seen them locally. I have, but you know what? You go in there and you wonder, is this really as good as it is? The objective of both of these rating systems is to help you make healthier choices in the grocery aisle. So as you're walking up and down, you can see the things that are better for you, but more importantly, you can see the things that aren't so bad as well. Because they rely on a massive aggregation and simplification of complex types of information of nutritional quality and vitamins and things that are in there and shouldn't be in there and so forth, they unfortunately will lead you to make mistakes occasionally and come to the wrong conclusions about the true nutritional merits of certain foods and about how whole foods, if you will, and processed foods actually compare one to the other. That's why for healthy people and people who are health motivated, and when you do your shopping, these ratings are reflecting not exactly what they're meant to be. In my opinion, it's helpful to know not just the numbers, but also a little something about the logic and the assumption built in these numbers. And once you understand both the advantages and the pitfalls of these systems, you stand a better chance of interpreting the results. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go into that in the show because we could talk about the rest of it. But if you go to rosellecare.com, that's ROSELLECARE.com, and then click on Facebook, by tomorrow I'm going to blog on this and give you some very, very specific guidelines. And we're going to be talking about the Andy and the Nuval systems and the things that you need to know about them. It's important because they're going to be put on everything from pizzas to mushrooms to cans to all kinds of stuff, and fish and meats and yada, yada, yada. So we got to do it the right way. So enough of the numbers, right? So when we talk about the numbers, we have these things, but let's talk about your numbers at 888-630-9625. Here's the deal. Let's set the numbers aside. Let's talk about food generally as it should be. First of all, what you need to do is you need to eat a wide variety of whole foods. They need to be clean, they need to be fresh, they need to be organic. And you need to stay away from grains. Aim to maximize your intake of things that are brightly colored. I will tell patients, anything that is colorful, eat. Anything that is devoid of color, when it comes to vegetable or anything like that, don't eat. Or when it comes to grain, don't eat. Those things aren't good for you. Color is vibrancy. Color is vitamins. Color is energy, and that's what you want in your body. Don't eliminate whole foods rich in healthy fats and complex carbs and phytonutrients, regardless of how they rank on these systems or anybody else's systems. If you're not sensitive to gluten and you're going to get sprouted grains, that's okay. Just they have to be a smaller portion of your diet. When you eat other grains like brown rices and Indian red and black rices, these things are great. They have tremendous amount of nutrients. Again, that's not meant to be the largest portion of your diet. Eat everything in moderation, particularly sugars, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Sugars are necessary in the diet, but only if there are certain types. Eliminate the fried foods. Remember my mantra: sugars, sodas, coffee, teas, fast food, fried foods, alcohol. Preservatives, glutens, additives, those things are the ones that are going to kill you, and you need to know that. Change some of the grains in your diet, for leafy plants and beans and nuts and seeds, and make sure that those things are as healthy and organic and fresh as you can. When possible, go to the farmers markets and make sure that they're giving you organic stuff. They're not just because they're on the roadside stands. They're not necessarily that they're clean things. Here's my old admonishment. Water. Most of you think water's for washing and not for drinking. You need to drink good, clean, filtered water or spring water, alkaline whenever possible. You have to have a large amount of money just to flush the toxin out of your body. It's the only way you get rid of it. When you go to the store, it's better to eat qualitatively than quantity. If you don't do that, it's crazy. I mean, anybody can eat well if you learn how to cook. Oh, my God, cook? Did I say cook? I didn't mean to say cook. I know most of you don't cook, but you have to learn how to do something. Learn how to cook, and your food dollars begin to shrink down relative to how much you're spending. Because if you can cook, you can make things that you can eat a couple times. You can freeze foods. You can, eat less of things and get greater amounts of nutrients. I know, cooking's not your thing, but you got to do something sometimes to change it. It makes a huge difference. I promised you I would talk about cancer's favorite food. Well, what do you think it is? What do you think cancer likes more than anything else in the world? Whether it's breast cancer or prostate cancer or spinal cancer or a sarcoma, soft tissue cancer, growing something, what do you think it is? Sugar. Sugar. If you want to see cancer grow like crazy, eat sugar. If you want the opportunity to be able to get rid of it, then limit it in your diet. But you know what? Cancer likes a very specific kind of sugar over all other sugars. One will grow it, the other one will proliferate it and make it spread and go crazy. What's that? Fructose. And in this country, we eat more high fructose corn syrup, I think, than any other food that goes into our body. It's ridiculous. Anything that ends in ose, sucrose, dextrose, maltose, it's the story of O's. Those are all sugars. And the deal is that we get something in the neighborhood about 3 times as much sugar than we should be even considering, safe levels. We shouldn't have any more than about 70 grams a day of any kind of sugar, no matter where it comes from, but particularly high fructose corn syrup. Got to get rid of it. If you got to have sugar, you have a little bit of raw honey, a little bit. If you have to have sugar, you have a piece of fruit. But you know what? Even fruit has fructose. So you have to take that 70 grams per day and begin to do your math. Some of the least amounts of fructose are in your berries. Some of the highest amounts, the highest is not even a banana. The highest is a pear. That's right, good old pear. About 9 grams of sugar. Banana has 7-something. Berry has 2-something. Do the math, add it up. But you also have to take in consideration other things that provide sugar as well. If you do have cancer, get rid of the sugar. Don't even play with it, particularly the fructose. Do not put it in your body. You are courting disaster. You will never have the opportunity to reverse it. Chemotherapy is not going to do it. Radiation is not going to do it. Surgery is not going to do it. You have to begin to turn your healing matrix on. You have to begin to turn your body back into a state of a fighting machine that it was designed to be. But unfortunately, sugar, sodas, coffee, teas, fast food, fried foods, alcohol, junk. You know, you need to buy my book. You need to buy Health as a Do-It-Yourself program. Go to our website, rosellecare.com, or go to amazon.com and buy a copy of it, because I lay it out for you very simply, very straightforward, how you can begin to change anything in your life. It's something that every one of you should have. Pick that book up.